be open, ask other founders about their journey, what worked, what didn't work, reach out to them because people are quite flattered to share. I'm Kim Palmer and I'm the founder of Clementine. I'm also a mum, so I've got 2 small boys. And if you detect an accent, I'm a Kiwi, not Australian.
Good. And tell us a bit about Clementine. What do you do?
So I'll talk about Clementine, what it is, and then I can perhaps talk about why I started it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So yeah, what it is a community and an app that supports women who are feeling low or overwhelmed with life, perhaps just struggling with the daily grind, can't sleep, all that stuff, lots of negative things going in their heads, which stop them from doing things. And so what we do is we use hypnotherapy to help them unpick all of these things that are going on in their heads, almost like retrain the brain, and to feel like they can do whatever they want in life. And that could be as simple as getting out of bed. It could be doing an interview. It could be going for a job, anything really. So it's about shifting mindsets.
Yeah, absolutely. And what made you start this business?
Yeah, so I didn't start the business 6 years ago, but my journey for into it started 6 years ago when I had my own quite crippling emotional breakdown. I used to work in the corporate world and I had a big job and I tried to be everything to everybody and had a lot of pressures going on, and I ended up having my very first panic attack, which came out completely out of the blue at work 6 years ago. And then my world just literally almost overnight went from being very big to being very small because I developed social anxiety and then was having panic attacks on a daily basis. Now, it's taken me years. I haven't had a panic attack. Last time I had a panic attack was when I started doing my investment, going through investment.
Not surprised.
Yeah, no, it was pretty stressful, right? But anyway, one of the things, the big game changer tools that I used to help me get back to being me again and feeling like I was okay was hypnotherapy. And so I saw a therapist for a whole year, and she just recorded these sessions on my phone. And I was listening to them all the time. So I was having these moments of like, oh, why is no one else doing this? And then meditation became really big. That was about 4 years ago, and I couldn't get on with meditation. And then I realized that actually quite a lot of people, when you're so vulnerable, find meditation really difficult. And again, I was like, oh, I was having another moment. And then when I was in the workplace, I ran an initiative that I won an award for, which was about helping women to just be whoever they wanted to be at work. And that opened my eyes again to thinking, oh my God, there's so many people suffering in silence. And that's when I started dreaming and thinking of Clementine. And it was a side hustle, I started it whilst I was working, 2017. And it wasn't until 2019 that I quit my job and decided to go all in, as they say. And yeah.
I think that's always quite a scary moment when you suddenly decide, you know what, I'm going to do this full time and give this a real go. So
Yeah.
what was the moment you decided that?
Yeah.
And what were the next few weeks like for anyone that's in that position at the moment?
I mean, again, I'll be really honest. Like I remember it so clearly. It was a weekend where I had, I've got 2 small boys. I had a really full-on job, trying to run this side hustle at the same time. All of those things, feeling like I was failing at all of them, thinking, shit, I can't do this anymore. Something's got to give. We'd already spent all our life savings on building Clementine at that point, like literally everything. There was no more money. So I remember that weekend, I was at burnout. And I remember having this conversation. I was crying with my husband saying, I can't do this anymore. And we both just went, this is the time. We've invested all our money in this. Like, your job isn't bringing you joy anymore. It brings you money. This is the thing that you love. You've just got to do it. I quit my job on the Monday. I had to work my notice. And it was, I wasn't getting paid. Like the business wasn't making any money. So it was genuinely really, really scary, but at the same time liberating. if that makes sense. It was like, I think I'd been dancing around with the idea for so long that I felt free and like I could turn this into something big, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, the next few weeks were me just kind of like trying to work out, okay, so I'm quitting my job, but what am I going to do? And I knew, and it became clear very, very quickly in those first few weeks that I needed to raise money. So we did a plateau and it was like, you need money.
Yeah, and let's talk about that process a little bit. We touched on it just before we jumped on this call. So you mentioned you're not a big fan of pitching. For you, you're far more effective in actually getting in a room with someone and running through it. So tell me a bit about that thought processes and the experiences you've had doing that.
Yeah, I mean, my investment journey in my head is like a game of two halves. 50% of it I found super stressful. I was having panic attacks on a daily basis because there was so much riding on it. That makes sense. And then there's all the stories that go around, you know, only 2% of women get investment through VCs, blah, blah, blah. So I was going into this almost like doubting myself, if that makes sense. One of the best things I did though is I met a guy, his name's Melon, who became an introducer, and his one job was to help me get the money that I needed. He didn't get paid until he got this money, and he helped me write my pitch deck. I wasn't very good at doing that because I wasn't very good at like bigging myself up and what the business up. So he helped me write the pitch deck. We were very strategic about going out and talking to the right kind of investors. We were even going to crowdfund, to be honest. And then I sort of describe it as he opened the door to a world that I didn't know or understand. So it really helped me to have someone sort of alongside with me. And it was very early on in our journey, actually. We didn't have problems opening doors and getting conversations. That we met Fortunas, who are our investor now, and it was very much not pitching. In fact, he knew, Justin, who's the head of the VC, knew that I was really, you know, scared and worried, and just basically just said, look, just you need to forget all that. We're just here to have a conversation. And he said in that one first meeting, we want to invest.
So it sounds like a big part of that was actually getting in contact with your introducer, as you put it. So what advice do you have for people that are looking for someone like that can really open the doors for them and make the relevant introductions?
Well, I mean, I was approached by quite a few people to help raise money, and actually a lot of them I felt were quite sharky. And well, asking for me to pay loads of money up front, you know, all the stuff. And I just thought, no, you've missed the point. I don't have any money. So I would say that it's good to talk to other founders who have raised investment. That's what I did. And then they introduce you to people. I can't tell you the amount of people that I introduce Melon to all the time, every week. So I think it's best to, just like be open, ask other founders about their journey, you know, what worked, what didn't work, reach out to them, because people are quite flattered to share. I mean, I have at least 2 meetings a week where I share with other founders.
Yeah, sounds
and
like
use
that.
LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn is your friend. I love LinkedIn. Met so many amazing potential investors on LinkedIn just because I'm sharing stuff all the time.
Perfect. So once the investment was in place, then what did that allow you to put in place or change?
Yeah, well, sort of saying this before we jumped on here, but it was just me. It wasn't really a business. You know, it was my passion project. I hacked together everything. So it allowed me to invest in a team. So we, you know, bring on board developers, which we didn't really have. We've now got a CEO, marketing, etc. And then to reinvest in the product. The product was very much an MVP. You know, we knew that it gave us enough knowledge to say there's something here, but we didn't have product market fit. So we've been investing a lot of time in experimenting with the product to get us closer to product market fit. Even before we market, we haven't been doing a huge amount of marketing. We're experimenting a lot before we really go. That makes sense.
Absolutely. It sounds like you're really putting the building blocks in place. You mentioned bringing on a CEO as well, which is often a difficult transition for founders to give up some of that control. So what's that been like?
So there's two parts to this story as well. One, which is very much at first, I thought, I don't want to do this. But then I remember going through a week of a realization that actually to grow the business, it can't just be about me anymore.
Mm.
And that I'm not a seasoned CEO, and that wouldn't it be liberating to have someone come in? And I think also because of the nature of what my business is about, I'm almost too close to it. And I don't think it's that healthy for our team if I'm like constantly stressed and, you know, worried about stuff. They feel it. It has been amazing. It has just been an absolute joy to have, you know, to invest in Katie, our CEO, because she brings, she sees the wood for the trees that I can't see
Mm.
because I live and breathe this and dream about it.
Absolutely. And what advice do you have for founders that are considering bringing on a CEO? How do you find the right person?
Well, interestingly about how we found the right person, we found the right person again through my network. A lot of it I posted on LinkedIn. We actually had a headhunter who came up with no one. And I just thought, this is interesting. I'm connected to so many amazing people who are connected to so many amazing people. Put a LinkedIn post up, not even through the jobs part. And lo and behold, someone shared with Katie, our CEO, and I just knew straight away. You know, we'd seen so many people who just weren't right. And we waited, and then we actually, it was frustrating because we waited a long time, and I had to hold my nerve. Because at that time we weren't really growing. There wasn't the pace there. But I just it was like such a key high. We were like, no, just keep holding, hold your nerve, go for
Amazing.
it.
And now all the building blocks are in place. I see fairly recently as well, you've been listed by The Guardian as an app women have to have. So what does that type of publicity do for brands like yours?
That was a total game changer. That actually happened a number of years ago. But off the back of that, actually, like just a couple of months ago, it was only last month, we were the app of the day on International Women's Day. So, you know, it kind of doesn't get that much better than that. It's less about numbers of people through that sort of PR. It's more to do with elevating your reputation, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then off the back of that will come another piece of coverage, and then brands will start to go, oh, these ladies are going somewhere, and perhaps we want to connect with them. It sort of opened up our network massively and gave us elevated our reputation. Yeah.
And what do you do to get noticed by these publications?
I mean, the Guardian piece was interesting. So I was doing a lot of pitching. We didn't have a PR agency then. It was just me pitching to journalists, and it wasn't about the app, it was about the story that goes behind it. There's always got to be a story. But I do think because we're quite visible, like again on LinkedIn and stuff like that, women share stuff with other women. And with Apple, like we've been App of the Day twice now. We've been in America and all those things. We've cultivated a relationship with them. Try to meet with them once a quarter, just to share. So like we're really, I suppose, just trying to cultivate relationships, be visible so that people can get on board and be interested in what we're doing all the time in a really organic way,
I was going to say those organic relationships is a point I think a lot of founders miss. So it's always good to hear when people are doing that. So what's next for the brand? What are the big goals for the next year or so?
Yeah, well, we're actually so first things first, we're fundraising again. So we're about to close the next round because we've been experimenting, but now we need to move beyond experimentation to getting some serious growth. So you'll see a lot more from us in terms of marketing. But then from the product perspective, we're trying to, the thing with Clementine is that everything we do actually escapes the app. The app was only ever meant to be a gateway into this world. So now we're thinking about what does this world include? So for example, multi-sensory products. We're talking to one of the biggest beauty brands in the world at the moment about, we're quite a way down the track. creating products together that fuse the digital experience with beauty products that women use every day. So yeah, some super interesting and quite fun and things going on here.
Yeah, it sounds like an exciting time. So just to finish off then, where can those listening find out more about both yourself and Clementine?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, as I said, but with Clementine, it's clementineapp.com. And yeah, if you want to just know more about like how we live and breathe every day, the best place to see that is on Instagram, Clementine App UK.